The lovely city of Venice is always filled with tourists and crowds, and the long waits and high prices can leave you with a very negative impression. Hello everybody, welcome back to Passport Pages, and today we're going to map out the places, times of day, and year that will make your Venice visit as pleasant and stress-free as possible. Before we begin, we post great travel videos 3 times each week, so please subscribe and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified. We'll be taking you to a few well-known spots, but more unique places, and give you methods and ideas to beat the crowds so you'll want to come back to Venice again and again rather than avoid it at all costs. So let's get started. Let's start at the Bridge of Sighs, which just might be the most visited tourist spot in Venice, so obviously no secret, but the crowds of tour groups and couples trying to get a romantic pic, just everyone trying to squeeze in, is pretty crazy. Now let's give you a little backstory. The unusual name comes from prisoners who had to walk from inside of the bridge to their executions at St. Mark's Square, and it was this final walk and view of the city's beauty which made them sigh. So, guess where the best views are? Rather than standing on the bridge with everyone else, tour the Doge's Palace and its prisons and you'll get to take a walk through the bridge and have a truly breathtaking view of Venice. Our next tip isn't a place, but rather a time of year. Winter is actually the best time of year to visit Venice. A sense of calm comes after the chaotic tourist season, and prices are much lower as well. The piazzas, churches, and restaurants will be mostly empty, and a beautiful fog envelops the city, which is really beautiful and almost ethereal at twilight, making for a very romantic setting. This is definitely a city where taking advantage of the low season is a good idea. Now let's look at a very underrated and often overlooked church, San Francesco della Vigna. Because of its location at the eastern end of Venice, beyond the dockyards, you'll usually find it pretty empty, even in the summer. This rather large Renaissance church was completed in 1572 and has very beautiful frescoes. Be sure to check out the Madonna and Child fresco, which is simply wonderful. This church affords you the experience of Venice's impressive art and architecture without the crowds. Of course, everyone believes that no trip to Venice is complete without an iconic gondola ride. After all, this is the city of canals, and its biggest appeal is the water. Unfortunately, you will either have to spend a lot of money to have the gondola to yourself, or be crammed in with a lot of other tourists for 30 minutes. Instead, we suggest the Vaporetto, which is basically a water bus that is meant as a means of transporting tourists between sites, but we suggest using it as a way to tour the Grand Canal in a very inexpensive way. Yes, it gets crowded as well, but if you take it in late afternoon, early evening, from Piazzale Roma toward St. Mark's Square, you'll beat the crowds as most people are leaving the tourist spots in the evening and heading in the opposite direction. Our next suggestion is to take a ghost walking tour of Venice, which is a fun, informative, and unique way of touring the city. Meet at the Rialto Bridge, and a guide will take you past abandoned canals and quiet piazzas, which is eerie in itself, but the guide will up the scare factor with ghost stories and unique facts about Venice as you're shown through back streets where gruesome murders have occurred. You'll get a perspective and information you won't hear on any other tour, and it makes for an enjoyable experience overall. Let's look at a place to eat that has incredible history, Cantina de' Mori. The locals love this place, although I must warn you that there aren't any tables. But still, you must try for both the food and incredible history. It's supposedly been in existence since the 1400s as a bar, and locals say that Casanova himself loved to come here with his friends. Cantina de' Mori serves light fare like sandwiches with various meats and cheeses, as well as local wines. It's the perfect spot for refreshment and a unique part of history. Let's look at another wonderful osteria, this time the Osteria al Bacco. An osteria is an establishment that serves wine and simple food. Like Cantina de' Mori, this one isn't frequented by tourists, as it's rather hidden along the Canal delle Capuzzine. But unlike Cantina de' Mori, Osteria al Bacco is more of a traditional restaurant, with tables both indoors and outdoors. It has delicious seafood and pasta, and a wonderful atmosphere. Don't miss out on dining at this hidden gem. For the most amazing views of Venice, head to the island of San Giorgio Maggiore. The church itself is quite beautiful, but if you take the elevator up to the top of the bell tower, you will be stunned by the perfect panoramic views you will have of all of Venice, including the Doge's Palace, the Grand Canal, and the other bell tower, Campanile di San Marco. This view will afford the best pictures as well, so be sure to take a boat ride to this small island at some point during your visit. And our final tip when visiting Venice: stay indoors during the day and see the city at night. This is especially important during the height of tourist season in the summer months. You'll be able to walk around St. Mark's Square and all the popular bridges in peace and quiet. Go exploring through the labyrinth of back streets and even go on a guided evening walking tour. It's the way Venice should be seen. So those are our suggestions for enjoying the beauty, history, and majesty of Venice in the best possible ways. What do you guys think? Do you prefer the crowds when visiting a city or like having it to yourself? We love getting questions and comments from everyone, so please do so and subscribe if you like as well. Thank you so much for watching and listening. This is Vanessa for Passport Pages, and as always, we hope to see you soon.